It's beginning to look a lot like wild card. Twins lose 2-1 to the Rays. And as we look at the odds, it certainly seems more likely that the Twins will get into the playoffs as a wild card as opposed to winning the Central. We're going to talk about it. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_1. Actually, I got it wrong on the screen here, but it'll only be that way for a little while. We're going to switch it back once they let me get that name back, but we'll talk about that later. I am your host, one of your hosts, and I have covered the Twins for 15 years, watched them for about twice that long, covered them in person up until COVID, and hopefully someday again. We'll see about that. But joining me across cyberspace is Mr. Dave Brown. Follow him on the tweets at @AnswerDaveBrown. He has been a ball writer for a quarter century and in the BBWAA for 12, this might be 13 years now, based on how math works. Dave, what up?
Hi, Brandon. So your Twitter's going back to what it was before?
They won't let me do it yet. There's some weirdness with Twitter Blue and all that stuff. So we'll get there when we get there. And honestly, just time for a reboot, trying to have a better attitude and be a little more profesh on the tweets. So yeah, come hang with me. I'll ask that you follow me for now, but then we'll get back to unfollowing again once things get to a bit more normalcy. By the way, today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And remember, you can get every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. It's Chris Atterbury and friends. Glenn Perkins on the trip with this instance here. Just download the SXM app, search Twins. It's going to be a bullpen game for the Twins against the Rays on Wednesday. Ronnie Enriquez getting the ball on the to start, but I think it's going to be Louis Varland after that. And the Rays have Cole Sulser, who I don't know that much about, not to be confused with the seltzer that Dave drinks during every show. But first pitch, 5:50 p.m. Central at the Trop. Today, we're going to talk about, let's see. I'm going to ask you, Dave, if you're concerned about anything specific after this game. We're going to talk about maybe, I think there's maybe a change needed in the lineup. Carlos Santana homered in Tuesday night's game. He's looking really good lately. The befores had a nice performance in the bullpen. And what the heck? It's decision time on Max Kepler. But first, let's talk about the Twins losing 2-1 to the Rays. Dave, Jeffrey Springs is a really, really good pitcher. And so there's really not a lot of shame in him coming in and cleaning up on you. 6 innings, his season high. He's coming back from an arm issue. But in general, when you look back at how this game went, do you have any major concerns?
Oh, I wouldn't say major concerns, but it is it's symptomatic of the things that we've said before about the Twins offense, that it's not always there, even though it's in the end, it's going to be a top 10 offense as far as runs scored goes. But sometimes they take little holidays, but the Rays are desperate to win. And it was a little frustrating for the Twins to put the first 2 runners on in the 9th inning and not go anywhere with that. But it's, I hate to say it is what it is, but it's pretty played out at this point that the Twins go through periods where the offense doesn't score, and we just have to live with that. And thankfully, David Festa kept them in the game. And I think that was, again, overall, the biggest takeaway long-term, and even long-term within this, how the season's working, that it's good that he's continuing to develop. And, I look forward to him starting a playoff game.
I want to coin a phrase. I want to call something the Ethics Bowl. And it's if the Twins win the XBA batting, the expected batting average, we'll call it the Ethics Bowl. The Twins win the Ethics Bowl on Tuesday night 226 to 137. I think more than anything, that just speaks to how well David Festa pitched. And if we're honest, we look back at how the runs for the Rays scored. There's no doubt that Festa pitched wonderfully. I do want to ask you, though, before we get into Festa better than the rest. Ninth inning, do you have any problem with how that was laid out? Because you get the single from Santana, Eddie Julien bloops a hit. Glenn Perkins was talking about how the trajectory of it made it hard for Carlos Santana to go first to third there. And the ball was fielded in pretty shallow right center field. So I didn't really have an issue with that. But there were a lot of people grumbling that Brooks Lee didn't bunt, which, Rocco.
Tom Kelly would have bunted.
Well, yeah, but Tom Kelly couldn't hit when he played. Oh, you mean as a manager? Got it. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, Brooks Lee strikes out. Willie Castro, who we'll talk about more in a little bit here, has a ugly plate appearance, and then Christian Vasquez pinch hits for Trevor Larnach against the lefty Garrett Clevenger, grounds to short, and that's that. A very promising inning goes by the wayside. Was there anything specific in that ninth inning you didn't like? Because again, a lot of people wanted, and I'm not saying it was people I agree with, wanted to maybe see Lee bunt there.
Going in reverse order, I guess. Vasquez has gotten, I know this isn't necessarily a repeatable skill, but he's gotten a lot of big hits this year. I mean, there have been lots of times in the last inning where it's been down to Christian Vasquez, and that's the only thing that stood between victory and defeat, and Vasquez has come through. So I don't,
he's just been good lately too. Like,
yes, he's been good over, above and beyond just those clutch moments. He's just been a better hitter. Yep. There is something that bothers me a little bit about not letting Larnach see more left-handed. The only guy who's really hitting lefties, though, who is a lefty, is Kepler, and Kepler's banged up and not available. So
yeah, Glenn Perkins noted that he had his hoodie on, so he was not even slightly available last night.
And Kepler has been, well, yeah. So I mean, I would like to see Larnach available against some lefties, but I don't have a problem putting Vasquez in that situation. Castro's been kind of rough lately. We noted that he got a big hit as a right-handed batter I think it was the previous series, and then had been in like a 1-for-40 slump or something against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of rough. I think you got to let Brooks Lee hit away there. I don't think you got Brooks Lee to bunt. I think Brooks Lee's a guy that you want with people in scoring position trying to get a hit. And also bunting there, when you're down on the road in the last inning, giving up outs to the Rays who have a good bullpen. I don't like that formula either. So I don't have like a huge problem with how the Twins played it. I definitely would not have bunted there with Brooks Lee.
Right.
Maybe if there's I wouldn't have.
Maybe
a slightly different, different situation. Runner at second only. I don't know. So.
Well, here's the deal. It opens up the Pandora's box, or the what is the effect that we talk about of what might have
butterfly effect?
Yeah, if you bunt and it works, first of all, you have to assume that it works, and it doesn't always work. And I think somebody said Brooks Lee hasn't even bunted as a professional. So not that absolves the concept of bunting if it's necessary, but if it's successful, first base is open. You can go to Clevenger to face Castro, who has not hit lefties. You could put Castro on and be a lefty against Larnach. You could do a lot of things where Vasquez maybe grounds into a double play. He did hit a grounder to short after all. So yeah, I don't think giving away an out when Uceta had given up back-to-back hits was the right play either. If you have two hits and the pitcher has not gotten you out, now whether those hits are absolutely tattooed or just kind of thumbed into the outfield or somewhere in between, I think that kind of covers the bases of those first two hits. You're not going to be like, oh, sure, let's give this guy an out. He hasn't gotten any outs on his own, so why don't we give him one and give him a leg up on finishing this thing off? So I think it's a
tie
lot of
score. I think tie score, maybe you can bunt. Yep. And then you go ahead with you could go ahead with a non-hit, a sacrifice fly, or a well-placed ground ball. I think that's one of the variables that would allow a bunt in that situation.
I think the curiosity too would be who in the bullpen would have been available had they taken a 1-run lead, because there was Dan Hayes of The Athletic said afterwards that there were a bunch of relievers unavailable. And based on the usage of the bullpen, we'll talk about that in a little bit here. It stands to reason that maybe the crooked inning was the approach to maybe go, score 3 runs, be up by 2, and that way you have a little extra wiggle room if you're closing it out with. I don't even know who you would have closed it out with, if I'm perfectly honest. But anyway, let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about a change that I think the Twins need to make. A couple changes, actually. We can give some love to Michael Hellman on his first big league hit and playing his first big league game. And yeah, we got a bunch of stuff here. So let's take our first break. Passion, drive, and patience are the formula for winning championships and also what keep your ride alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, whether you're looking for a supercharger, roof rack, exhaust kit, LED headlights, or more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, Dave, I was looking at some numbers for the second half, and let's look at season numbers first. Willie Castro hitting 251, 335, 397 as a triple slash. Certainly a respectable slash line for players playing most positions in today's game. And, he's playing capable defense, especially at short. He leads the team in games played by 9, plate appearances by 56. So that's not going to change anytime soon or by the end of the year. But in the second half, he's hitting 219 with a 295 on base and a 342 slugging percentage. That's 41 games, 173 plate appearances. So it is not some sort of small sample size wonder. Is it time?
Do you got a WRC Cola Plus on that? Like, what is that compared to the league?
You know what? I can grab that. Is it time to make a change at the top of the order? Because I have some options if the Twins want to slide Castro down. Now, Castro does not lead up against lefties. It was Ryan Jeffers on Tuesday night. But I don't know. I think it's time.
He's not always at the top of the order. A lot of times he's at the bottom. Part of the problem here, and everybody knows this, is that there are injuries, and there aren't necessarily options that you like as far as switching it around. I think maybe Willie is a little ragged because of the time of year.
He's already played more games than last year, by the way.
Right. And maybe a little overexposed as a hitter, and there's adjustments to be made because, he'll still strike. He's kind of a modern guy, and that doesn't walk that much, and he strikes out kind of a lot. And so he's vulnerable to slumps in that way and bad streaks. So he's got some things working against him. He's got a lot of times you'll see him at short or center. Those are high. They place a lot of demands on you. So he's going to be probably worn out a little bit. It would be, it would behoove the Twins. I mean, of course it would, to get Byron Buxton back in the lineup, to get Carlos Correa back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Rocco, we've sang his praises for, utilizing the entire roster, but to a certain degree, he can't necessarily do that to the best, in the best way with some players, because they're otherwise indispensable. Still, Willie Castro being on the field, you need him out there. And even if he's not hitting as well as he did in the first half, he's still hitting better than some other people who are in the lineup. So it's not like you can get away from him entirely, but it would be nice to have some games where he didn't have to play, to give him a little bit of a rest. I think that definitely would be true, certainly mentally and probably physically too.
83 weighted runs created plus in the second half.
That's not great. It's not it's not like, Christian Vasquez first half, but it's not good.
It's okay. So some numbers and names that I've pulled up here in the last month. I went the last, since August 4th, just to give us kind of a broad view. Carlos Santana would be probably my first choice. Leads the team with 13 walks, has a isolated discipline, which is just, batting OBP minus average of almost 100, which is the sign of a truly elite batting eye. Now, with that said, he's only hitting 216 with a 314 on base. But he does lead the team with 4.23 pitches per plate appearance seen. But second place is Willie Castro at 415. Now, I think there's two different types of leadoff hitters in today's game. There is the guy who gets on base, the Carlos Santanas of the world. And then there's the energizer. That's the guy who, if you don't want to do the traditional OBP, I say traditional, I guess it's not even that traditional. Back in the old days, it was just the fast guys. But the energizer, like Ron Gardenhire did, was Jock Jones at the top of the order. He had a 325 on base, but he put a charge into the ball, or he'd get a double and come around and score. He could run. He did a few different things. There are a lot of ways to look at traditional, or to fill out a lineup card with leadoff hitters. With lefties, it's been Manuel Margot, Ryan Jeffers in Tuesday's game. So I like the idea of matchups, but the three names that I came back to were Edouard Julien, who has in that time frame a 370 on base, sitting 293, 370 with a 341 slug, so not crushing the ball, which is like we saw in the ninth inning last night. Trevor Larnach has hit over that span 284 with a 346 on base, 514 slug, so 859 OPS. Is that too good to sorry, phone ringing there. Is that too good to
love a good xylophone though?
Yeah, right. Is that too good to have out of the middle of the order? Right. Matt Wallner has a 374 on base, or Santana, you just roll with the on base guy.
Brooks Lee hit him at the top of the order.
He's hit two. Oh, I guess he's only played 5 games. Yeah, I would be fine with that too.
I think that's the guy. But also I would put as soon as please come back, Byron Buxton. I'd put him like second. I mean, that's not if you're leading off with Jeffers and Buxton and then Larnach, I think that's a good way to start. And if that's not going to work, put Lee at the top and then put Buxton down, Buxton down the lineup. There aren't a lot of conventional answers here, but I think let's see what we got in Brooks Lee. Put him high. I like Larnach 3-4.
Yep.
Second would be great. But sometimes, you got Wallner too.
Mm-hmm.
Wallner 5th. I don't know. It's I like Brooks Lee at the top though. I think that's key. And honestly, the second key is getting Buxton and Correa back. Seriously, it's crazy that in a sense that the Twins are still within striking distance and they haven't had those guys available. So I think that would change the calculus here. I don't know how. I think we're pretty soon on Buxton and Carlos Correa with his soft tissue, his gooey plantar fasciitis. I don't know. It might be a while still. With
the caveat that it's been 5 games and 19 plate appearances, Brooks is averaging 3.95 pitches per plate appearance. So just behind Julien at 4, Castro at 4.15, and Santana at 4.23. For some context, Twins averaging 3.80 over the last month. So healthily above the team average. I didn't have Lee down on my list, but I think you might be onto something here. And I do want to put a little extra shine on Santana. I know we've talked about him a fair amount with how well he's played of late, but 113 weighted runs created plus is his best since 2019. 1.1 defensive runs is his best since he came up and played catcher for a few minutes in 2010. And his 12 outs above average ranks first among all MLB first basemen and 13th tied among all MLB fielders. It's hard to contextualize how hard it is to put up these types of fielding numbers at first base. Center field, like Dalton Varsho, Kevin Kiermaier, and Byron Buxton, all those guys, you can go get it. You can save a lot of runs. Those are doubles and triples that you're saving at first base with the adjustments and everything. It's hard to do, but Santana has been incredible there. I know a lot of people are saying, why not re-sign him? Let's pump the brakes on that. But what a great season he's had.
Yeah, he's been a savior, very much so, on both sides of the ball. I think it is interesting how effective he is at first base. I wonder if some of that is scouting or instinct or exactly what
experience. He's played for so long. He's been in the league for 15 years.
Right. And first base is a position too, I think, that fewer and fewer guys, it's it used to be kind of a glamour position, or it used to be a position where the guy who really couldn't do anything, who had no range or speed, would go if you couldn't DH him or he was too young to DH. But there's actually some athleticism and some smarts that Santana uses at first base that gives the Twins an advantage. I mean, I some people have talked about, well, who do you take out of the lineup when everybody's healthy? Because people are always looking ahead to, what's coming around the bend. And you definitely don't take Santana out. He's going to save you some runs, errant throws, positioning, guys not having enough range, whatever. It's important to have him at first base, especially in a playoff game, for crying out loud. So I hope we're not like talking him into some kind of bad luck or bad, moment in the playoffs where Santana makes an error or doesn't make a play and the Twins lose because of it. We're going to have egg on our face, and I don't like egg on my face. I like it in my belly.
Yeah. Well, and two things. They're never going to be fully healthy. And two, the way Rocco uses...
Never.
I'm choosing not to believe that they'll ever be healthy, because that blessed is the man who expects nothing, for he is never disappointed. And two, the way Rocco manages a lineup in a roster, everybody's playing all the time. So it's really much ado about nothing. All right, let's take our last break. When we come back here, I want to give some love to Festa, figure out what the heck's going on with Max Kepler, give some love to the bullpen befores, and ask the Angels what the heck they're doing, because they're pretty strange. Got to give some love to PrizePicks, though. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app and has over 5 million active members. Are you one of them? Because PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, it's just you and the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can do the high multipliers, the low multipliers. The risk tolerance that you have will determine how much you put down and how much you can win. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as few as 4 correct picks. That's right, turning $10 into $1,000. It's not difficult math, because I figured it out. And if you sign up today, you can get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. You can put money down on the Royals right now and still win. How's that? It's also available in in 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, Georgia. I know it's available in Minnesota. I don't know about Missouri. Missouri loves company, right, Dave?
That's right, Brandon.
But check if your state is one of those 30, because I highly, highly recommend getting in on the PrizePicks. It's almost too easy. It's surprising how easy it is to play. To win, a little tougher, but it's super easy to play. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's LOCKEDONMLB as your promo code on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. And of course, we're rocking with Game Time. You're looking for tickets to a concert, a comedy show, a music, a concert. They call those concerts, Dave.
A musical event.
Musical event. Boy, I'm getting in my own head right now, aren't I? Well, Game Time is the place to go. It's the Game Time app, or if you must use the browser, gametime.co. I am going to the Small Town Murder podcast at the end of this month at the State Theater in Minneapolis. They are sold out. 2,000 plus people going. But if you're trying to get tickets, Game Time is the place to go for sold out events to get your best possible deal. And even if the events aren't sold out, Game Time. Check them out. They've got so many great features. I have used it for St. Paul Saints games, concerts. This is a comedy podcast. It's a comedy murder podcast that I'm going to, which I know doesn't sound conventional, but I promise you, if it's your kind of thing, that you would very much enjoy it. But any sort of entertainment that you are looking to have, Game Time is the place to get your tickets. Toggle that all-in pricing, and you will know for sure how much you're going to pay at the end of your transaction. None of that bait and switch at the end where they add a $20 fee at the end for your convenience. Nothing like that. And you get a panoramic seat view, so you know what you're going to see from where you're sitting, what the stage or screen will look like. And your purchase is covered with the lowest price guarantee, which is where Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find the ticket cheaper elsewhere. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave, I do want to get out in front of this one just quickly because it's not Twins related, but WTF, Angels, why are you not doing something for Shohei Ohtani? Now, I know that I don't know if they reversed course, but I just coming out and saying we don't have anything planned for him. They did something in spring training, which, okay, cool. That really doesn't mean anything. But to give some reference, the Twins are in Tampa Bay right now, or St. Petersburg, playing Tampa Bay, and the Rays gave a nod to Manuel Margot.
Are you saying he doesn't deserve it?
I'm not saying. I'm saying there's a sliding scale of appreciation. There's the guy who takes out the full page ad when you retire, like, I don't know, JJ Watt or whoever, like a big time player. And then there's the guy who, maybe takes out a milk carton, who had on the, I'm kidding, an ad on the milk carton. I don't think those are ads, Dave. But there's a sliding scale, and however you apply it, Shohei Ohtani deserves better. And actually, humorously, the scoreboard operator put "used to work here" on the board when he was batting in the series opener. But I don't know. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, the Angels do everything in their power to not keep Shohei Ohtani.
They're the AL Rockies.
It's somehow it's turned on him. Although you can't say that they didn't give him anything. They gave him an at bat off yesterday, and Mookie Betts hit a home run. So I mean, it's the guy that has everything. So you got a free run scored, and that's because Wash managing is incredibly hard.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly like the Twins doing a bunch of broken bats to make a chair for a retiring Mariano Rivera, but it's close.
I kind of like that. Maybe that's thinking about it too much rather than not thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's weird to also put on this air that, well, he's with the enemy now, or we don't like him, or, it's one thing to like forget to do a video, like forget on purpose to do a thank you video or whatever. But it's another thing to like turn it into he's some kind of bad guy because we're an incompetent organization. And, with all the things that the Angels have done, like off the field, not off the field, but like adjacent to the field that involve, people in prison and players who have died.
Yeah.
And, it's like, in a way, why, if you're Shohei Ohtani, why would you want to be associated with the Angels? Why would you, it's just, it's insulting to our intelligence.
How bizarre.
They should have just done some kind of low key baloney.
How
and
bizarre
then called it a day.
That this is a Disney adjacent franchise. Like, it's the opposite.
No, in a way it makes sense because you can be cynical about Disney too. So
yeah, true.
I'm not like anti-mouse or anything. My family's been to Disney World in the past year.
Did you win the World Series?
Damn, was it expensive? Yeah, I know. I didn't.
Yep.
And it cost $1 million. Like literally to go. It's just ridiculous.
By the way, quick roster stuff. Caleb Bosley and Trevor Richards cleared waivers and stayed in the organization. Any takes there?
That's wild there. I didn't. Yeah, I can't believe nobody would want them.
You're telling me for the first time here.
Nobody would.
You're doing the Trump. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's hard to believe that. I mean, maybe Josh Winder has actually been pretty bad at AAA. I don't know how he was getting all those guys out in the majors, but
Well,
not everybody at the end of the bullpen is any damn good for the Twins. We think that they have all this depth, but not everybody wants these guys. I mean, I'm sure they're lovely people.
Well, the befores, by the way, I want to give some love to those guys. And I don't say that term derisively. You pitch before the team is leading because they need you. Just some quick love for them. Caleb Thielbar, Michael Tonkin, Diego B. Castillo. No, I don't know what his middle initial is. 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 hit, 0 runs. Tremendous job on Tuesday.
Yeah, we should. Festa did a good job, although it was only 5 innings, but they weren't going to go any more than that because he was at his high pitch. Not high pitch like this, but I mean the high pitch count. But the bullpen, I just made fun of the end of the bullpen, but like those guys who pitched yesterday did a great job of helping the team hang in there.
Excellent. Before we go here, want to make sure that you are listening to Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, on your second listen. It's Locked On MLB. He brings his trademark humor and national expertise to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs as we trudge through the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, because like Locked On Twins, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Now, he's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Wormy. Thank you so much for hanging with us on this live edition. If you like the live editions, make sure and let us know, because they're fun to do and I don't have to upload them after the fact. So again, thank you so much. For Dave Brown, this is Brandon saying thank you, and we'll see ya
tomorrow
night.
Goodbye.
Or morning.
Soon.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.